just keep letting people in. Welcome everybody to our lightning talk for the NC Live virtual conference. I'm Jennifer Smith and I'm going to be your moderator today. So any questions or comments that you have, just pop those in the chat and we'll let Jenna take a look at those when she's done. But welcome to Art in the Atrium, bringing art into the library through embedded collaboration. And as we said before, her slides and everything will be on Sketch, but I'll turn it over to Jenna.
Great, thank you. As you heard, my topic, Art in the Atrium, and I am the Arts and Architecture Librarian at UNC-Charlotte. So I'm going to talk about some of the projects I've been working on. Oh, sorry. There we go. Oh. So some of the projects I'm going to go over, in-person, online exhibits, installations, programming, various types of collaboration. But I want to talk a little bit about some of the goals of the projects that I've been working on. You can see here, demonstrate art as scholarship, provide students with real-world experiences, plus the inclusion of art in the library to create an inspiring and relaxing space for students to study, connecting the campus with a larger community as well. And also a big part of this is documenting the process for the students involved, as well as for those who are interested in doing similar projects. So one of the first things, one of my first initiatives when I started here at UNC-Charlotte was to bring more art into the library. So as part of this, I requested the purchase of a hanging wall system. You can see some of this here. It was used at my previous institution and it makes installation and de-installation much easier. And this is on the first floor of the library in a high traffic area. And here you can see an example. This is one of our early in-person exhibits. These are Romare Bearden book illustrations. And we also had a student contest where we asked students to basically create two-dimensional interpretation of how they saw the library. We had a jury of art faculty and staff who selected the winners. And the top three were gifted gift cards. But the winner here, which you can see their image, was actually permanently installed in the library. And it's actually become our retirement gift. So when people retire, they get a copy of this print. We also have, in terms of in-person exhibits, some of these are themed, some of them are connected to specific classes. Here you can see this is a specific class, animation class. For this one, we used the hanging wall system, but we also had a monitor because there were videos involved. It's the animation. And I should say too, all of these exhibits have a web page on our exhibits website. So all of this is documented as we're going through. Trying to play the video, but let me see if I can get it to. You can see this was the video actually that was on the loop on the monitor that was next to the hanging wall exhibit. This is another example of a class associated exhibit. This is drawing one. This is specifically their assignment for faux abstraction. So again, you can see here we're using the hanging wall system. It made it very easy to put up and take down. And this I wanted to show you too, because we have two places that we've been installing in-person exhibits. What you've seen so far is the main library in Athens, but we also install exhibits over in the architecture branch library. And just kind of having art installed there generally. This is where you can see, again, we've got that hanging wall system, one of the exhibits here and here as well. Plus we do have art installations here, like this example by an alumni for the architecture school. So we do have multiple things kind of going on in the branch library as well. Kind of going back to those rotating exhibits, you can see some of them here. In the top right corner, these are ones that actually were are up there now as part of the accreditation process for the School of Architecture. So we were happy to provide that space for them. The next one. Again, this is another specific example. You can see this is one of the exhibits I showed earlier. This was a graphic design BFA show. And again, this was, we took advantage of a situation where they didn't have space in the art building. And I had already kind of established a relationship with this particular professor. So she reached out to us about using the branch library. And it turned out wonderfully. The students installed the exhibit. They had a programming event where they had a student talk panel. So we hosted that as well. And again, this is all archived on our exhibit website. In terms of other ways that we're displaying artwork, these are vitrines that actually come from the College of Arts and Architecture. It's it was specifically designed for their Violins of Hope. And they were just sitting in storage when they're not being used for that purpose. So the director of collaborative initiatives actually reached out to me and to see if the library would want to use them in some way. So again, we said yes immediately, and we have 2 in Atkins in the main library, and then we have 2 in the branch library for architecture. And looking at some examples here, you can see how we've utilized them. This is actually a artist book class over in art and art history. And this vitrine is actually located near the entrance of the architecture library. These are a couple of the vitrines that are over in the main library in Atkins. So you can see it's not all art exhibits. We have this was actually curated by one of our science librarians. You can see it included the vitrines, it included a monitor for a video that she set up. Plus we actually selected books from the collection that related to the topic that students could then check out. This leads me to another project that we worked on, another way to bring art into the library. We installed large and medium size monitors, primarily on the 2nd floor, a couple on the 3rd floor, all near comfortable seating. And we've been rotating images of student work from various art classes. But this is something that the students specifically expressed that they wanted. So you can see it's by these little kind of cubicles, kind of the browsing section. So again, these rotate on various levels. We try to do a new one every semester. One of the other big projects that we've been working with students specifically in School of Architecture. One of my colleagues was interested in bringing a free little library to campus. So we reached out to School of Architecture, specifically the group Freedom by Design. They held a charrette and opened it up to build days. So they were getting ideas and collaboration from students throughout the school. So you can see them kind of during the charrette where they're coming up with ideas. This was their post on Instagram to call people to help with the build day. You can see some images too from the Fab Lab that they have, the building. Just before I go to the next one, this was the first exhibit that we put up, kind of chronicling some of this process that the students went through, everything from the design stages to when they started building. And again, this is all being documented on our library exhibits page. So this one, you can see kind of the progress, because I will say the pandemic did impact the timeline of the little free library. So the students actually, they had been keeping the model at one of their homes. They brought it back. There's a fun little video that they put on Instagram of like in the pickup truck, bringing it back to campus. So we met with them. So these are all Freedom by Design students. They explained kind of where they were in the process, what things still needed to be changed and altered. This is one of, you can see on the left, this is one of the documents that they shared with us, kind of their vision, updated vision. On the right, this was the second exhibit that I did, specifically focused on the updates for the little free library. And you can see they actually let us use the model for this one too, which was a great kind of eye-catching if people came in. plus some of their plans and photos from the meeting as well. The other project that I wanted to touch on is the mural that is installed in the School of Architecture branch library in Height. The title is Fragments of the Library of Babel. And this actually started in 2017, shortly after I arrived at UNC-Charlotte. I was reaching out to faculty to see who was interested in helping me bring more art into the library. Specifically the architecture library, because we had these high blank walls. And we really wanted something to kind of liven up the space. So I worked with two different classes who were collaborating together. One was print media and the other was mixed media. So they created a mural for these spaces. And I should say too, Fragments from the Library of Babel is actually based on one of their course readings. And you can see this is some photos, images from the process. So you can see this is them in the studio. And we actually visited them multiple times in the studio, kind of as the library. We acted as the client, so we would give them feedback. They held their final in the architecture space as well. So they were talking about kind of where and why they would place the pieces as they did. Down here too, once everything was installed, so this took up fall semester of that year, and then they installed it coming back, excuse me, lose my voice, back that spring. And to kind of celebrate kind of the opening of it, we had a student panel where some of the students from the class were able to come back and talk about the process, which was fascinating because they talked about their inspirations, the techniques they were using, how they collaborated together, how they responded to us as the client. And again, we documented all of this. Faculty and students were taking photos. We have a special website just for this particular project. So again, this is something students can then go back to and refer when they're, say, looking to exhibit, and when they're looking for applying for jobs. They have this stable URL, this webpage. Just quickly, I presented, you can see some more images here. This was a poster that I did for the Association of Architecture School Librarians. You can see kind of the timeline that we had, outreach and collaboration, research, then the installation, programming, and ultimately preservation. And you can see kind of how it's really enlivened the space there as students come to work at the large open tables. So the students really focused on the library space and what that meant. So kind of inspiring work, but also creating a relaxing space. And thankfully, that was not our only collaboration. We did this particular faculty members at the start of the second library mural. This one is called Streams of Consciousness. So you can see, again, we were visiting them in their studio space. This is the dean of our library, and more. So she's providing feedback on some of the drafts, some of the things they're thinking about in terms of designs and colors. So again, it was very much kind of like the library as client. And this was actually another visit I made to them in their studio space, in part to kind of see where things were, also helping to kind of document the process as well. You can see, again, this is where they're cutting these pieces. Yeah, I'm gonna say, let me mute that because that's the buzz saw. So you can see kind of working with faculty, they're in this space. And it gave me an opportunity to talk to the students again and check in. There we go. So this is actually one of the finished pieces. I should say there are two sides. It's either side over here, the north facing wall and the south facing wall. And this is on the second floor. And I should say it's a high traffic area. And it's near the comfortable seating, just like the monitors that we installed. And because of the panels here, they're covering hardware that relates to the recording studios. So the students were also creating response to technology and future technology. So again, just like the other mural, very site specific. And you can see this is the other half, the other side, I should say. But again, this all works together for this one mural, Streams of Consciousness. And again, we've been building a website documenting this in addition to just kind of like the final images, but again, all the stages that they went through. And one of the last ones I did want to talk about too, this is the Artomat. We worked with a Levine scholar from Art and Art History. So this is one of the converted cigarette machines that was turned into an art vending machine. Actually, one of the same professors we worked with on the mural, they were having a trouble finding a location on campus. So they reached out to the library and we were happy to provide that space once we worked out all the details. And it's been wildly popular with everyone who comes into the library. Again, you can see some more images here of the actual installation, some of the materials you might find in there. And finally, as I've been mentioning throughout, we do have a website where we document all of these exhibits, including the in-person exhibits, the virtual exhibits, like this was one that we did during the pandemic when we were in lockdown. So we were still creating exhibits in some kind of fashion. And I think it's almost time, but if you do have questions, either now or later, feel free to email me. Although I should say, I realized I just entered the old, we just converted. So it's actually jruddle2@charlotte.edu, but they both should work. But I'll hand it back over to Jennifer.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions right now? You can put them in the chat. I would love to know your recommendations for the hanging wall system because we really need that in our library.
Oh, yeah. We actually went with the Walker hanging wall system. And that was because of my previous position when I was at George Mason. The graduate student that we worked with, and then MFA student who was helping with the library gallery when we were building it. That's what she had used kind of in previous jobs. So she did a lot of background research and kind of explained why she wanted to go with this particular one. It's also pretty economical compared to some of the other ones. But it kind of just depends on your needs. Like this one has ways to hang things if they're framed, if they're not framed. If you want to do kind of like the salon style where you have multiple things hanging. But it just makes it really easy to kind of install quickly and also de-install. And I'm happy to share any information like that too, so they through email or whatever.
Yeah. Anybody else have questions? You can put in the chat, I assume, or just unmute yourself. Well, I hope they will email you. I think, do you try to change exhibits?
Yes, we do. And actually, I forgot to mention this too. We have an art exhibit and display committee, which is incredibly helpful in kind of getting exhibits from different departments in the library, different departments on campus. So we do kind of have a calendar listing with everything, both what's on the first floor with the hanging wall system, with the vitrines and cases there, plus on the 10th floor with special collections. So yeah, we do rotate it out, and some stay longer. It just kind of depends. Like the student artist books we had for about 2 weeks because they needed them back, obviously for the last day of class. So it just kind of depends.
And would a library have to pay to have the Artomatic, I think?
That they actually did. We didn't handle any of the financial issues with that. That was done through the Levine Scholar. So we're just kind of benefiting because I think they did have to purchase it.
Okay.
Part of the fees that they pay also keeps it filled with various artwork as well. So thankfully for us, we just handle it on the part where people purchase the tokens and then use those tokens for the vending machine. But I believe there is. I don't know how much it is.
Okay. Well, thank you.
It has been very popular.
Yeah. That was wonderful. It's a bunch of great ideas. Thank you so much. And you're at UNC-Charlotte if we want to inundate you with any questions.
Yes, and please feel free to email me.
Okay.
Always happy to.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. And I hope you're able to attend our last session of the day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jenna. That went great.
Thank you. I appreciate your help with
Oh,
admitting
yeah.
it. Things.
Yeah. No, I wish we had an art librarian.
Yeah.
It's kind of us trying to do it and save the walls and yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I'm happy, like, if you have questions later, I can send you stuff about the hanging wall system, some of the other methods that we've used to.
Very
That
cool.
did minimal damage to the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sure.
Bye.